Year Endless. I am your host, William Ginsberg, joined by my co host, Courtney Chappell. On Year Endless, we delve into musical and personal history by diving into best of lists from print and online publications through the years. We dig into part 3 of our look at Blender Magazine's 100 Greatest Indie Rock Albums of All Time, published in December of 2007. Today we start on number 79, which is the band Clap Your Hands Say Yeah with their album Clap Your Hands Say Yeah. This is from 2005. Their little blurb is, Alec Onsworth's voice is pinched and ugly, but he wrings pretty melodies from it, moaning about child stars and glam andronines over ramshackle dance rock. While preparing for this recording, this was the first time I actually listened to this band, because I had heard about them. Bought the CD for the dollar bin, but I never got around to listening to it until now. And I was expecting to kind of not like it. It's a band that I think their reputation faded after their first album. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're still around today. I mean, still they've released a couple of albums since then. The first couple of songs, I will admit, I got on my nerves, but it goes along, starting around track 3 or 4, mid to 5, that it was like, oh, this is actually quite good. Yeah, had you heard of this band before, Courtney?
Yes, I've heard of this band. I'm a big fan of the name of this band, and it stood out to me. Never listened to it. No idea what it sounded like. I figured it was pretty poppy based on the hand clapping and the saying yeah. And then I was wondering if it was going to be ironic, like Destroyer, where it doesn't sound like...
Yeah, it doesn't sound like what the name is. Yeah. Before we started recording, we did play a little bit of their song Is This Love? So what did you think of it?
Yeah, I feel like the title of the band fit the style of music. It was very poppy. It kind of had a magnetic field, even like a Belle and Sebastian kind of romanticism, up tempo.
I don't know if it's going to be in my stereo. So yeah, I guess we can move on to number 78, which is a band. I'll hand it over to you. So.
I know. I was like, oh, I know all about the 13th floor elevators. But then I'm like, it was probably 20 years ago that I was really into them. We have like a big box set of their music. I was really surprised to find some music from the 60s that I liked. And so I got really, really into them. And then, of course, the Rocky Erickson documentary came out. It's been a long time since I saw that. But at one point, I knew a lot about them. But I do know that they're from Austin, Texas. I feel like there's a connection between Daniel Johnston and Rocky Erickson because of the Texas thing and also because of struggles. Erickson, there was a lot of initial drug use in the 60s. That does not always cause mental illness, but it correlates with it pretty heavily, whether he was self-medicating. I believe his diagnosis was schizophrenia. I remember at the end of the documentary, he would be in his house he turns on like every single appliance from blenders to hair dryers and has to have that on at all times to keep the voices out. One of the things that's kind of interesting about this band is that there is a jug. What do you call it? Where you blow on a jug.
Maybe. I don't know what the word is.
I need to figure it out. Yeah, he blows on some kind of jug. That's all. Just know that. And you can hear that in one of my favorite songs, which I think, it's been a while, but I think it was one of the first to come out. And this band is old. It started in like 1965. You see about skiffle, which is this music from England, and they use these strange instrumentation, like blowing on a jug and washboards and stuff. So they kind of are connected, I think, in a way. And I'm going to play a clip of the song.
The album for the 13th floor elevators on this list is The Psychedelic Sounds of the 13th Floor Elevator, which was released in 1966.
He is a jug player, electric jug player. The name of this song is You're Gonna Miss Me. Okay, here we go. Now, if you listen at the very beginning of that song, after like maybe the 5th or 6th bar, there's this like this very psychedelic sound. It's the sound of a jug, but it's a this is the template for like a lot of later garage rock, the raining sound, and
there's a lot of bands that were influenced by Rocky Erickson's music. It's pretty wild. I'm trying to think back to the time if I was listener like then hearing this. I don't know. I would have taken it. If I was on like drugs, I would probably be pretty freaked out.
Very
Yeah.
dark. A lot of people talk about the Doors as being entryway to a more sort of gothic sound, but I feel like 13th Floor Elevators and early Pink Floyd, obviously, there's a connection
Mhm.
there as well.
Moving along, we go to a band to the 2000s, the Arctic Monkeys with their debut, "Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not," released in 2006. And this is a band that I don't love all their records. I really do love their first album like a lot. Little blurb is this debut dazzles with lyrics about dead end geezers and Saturday night punch ups, so excellent that cynics suspected 21-year-old Alex Turner of thievery. A British band that got hot really quickly. And I mean, there were a lot of bands that did that. There was a whole industry around in the UK of propping up new bands, and some of them only had a song and then they disappeared. But this is a band that stuck around. It's still releasing albums. It's nothing like their first album. Yeah, have you heard any Arctic Monkeys, or have you heard of
No,
them?
I always got them confused with gorillas. I don't know who.
Not, they don't sound similar,
Don't
but no, they
sound
don't have. They're both animals in their names.
I know,
I
but
can't
that's
spell
it.
Arctic, yeah, but I definitely remember hearing them a little bit back when they were new. Got into them later, so yeah, And this is one where I would like to play bits of two songs. We're gonna start creating playlists of the songs we play that our listeners can
Listening.
hear hear what we're talking about, because I'll play "I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor." I don't know if I would call them come ons, but I guess so. But what did you expect them to sound like? More like the Gorillaz, a little bit of like the like hip hop, or
I thought it was going to be
like
like
a
broken social scene, or I don't know. I thought it was going to be more like clap your hands, say yeah. This is a very
mm,
guitar based band.
I think some of the recent albums there's a little bit more piano, is going in a little more loungy kind of direction, including a song about a nightclub on the moon, very like kind of like weird sci-fi lounge sound, which is not words you combine very often. But yeah, I'm gonna play one more song for you from this album.
That sounded really cool.
Um, yeah, post punk and like garage to it. Part of the garage revival. Slower song. It's an interesting story too. This is "When the Sun Goes Down." It's a story of prostitutes and
Of the night.
kind of criminal element to go with that too. I remember someone playing this on acoustic guitar. Sometimes that's annoying. He did a pretty good. It's not the most common to covering,
And
but
very like you can hear his accent, and there's something about the here the British accent that puts them in a certain category for me.
his accent comes in his pronunciations.
I mean,
So like,
that's in Northern England, right? Very
yeah, I'm checking to see where exactly in.
Sheffield, London. So it's not. It's like an hour east of Manchester. So he's not far from Manchester. I mean that's not the biggest country in the world. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it's near Leeds and everything. So yeah, he's got that northern, working. That's like the redneck part of England, but it's like the working class part of England, I guess. Anyway.
Mhm. I realized while re-listening to this, I didn't remember all of the songs from this album. I think I focused on a couple of the songs, but overall, yeah, I still do enjoy this a lot. I think that their second album has the song "Fluorescent Adolescent." I might like better than "I Bet You Look on the Dance Floor," as far as that kind of almost a little bit too fast to hear everything he's saying. I'm glad I re-listened to it because I still do like this a lot. Number 76 is the group La Tigra with their debut album La Tigra.
Know about, well, I mean, I think we all do at this point, but I love La Tigra. Kathleen Hanna is my generation.
Yeah.
They're great.
I'll read the blurb. We can decide how we feel about the blurb. But Bikini Kill frontwoman Kathleen Hanna bought a drum machine and gave her asshole smiting feminist punk a disco makeover.
Great. Asshole smiting. One thing I will say is that when this album came out, I've swept the nation. I was on the West Coast for some reason when it came out. And it was like at every dance party, when every bar closed, the song was just playing. I was in Olympia, Washington at the time. Just everywhere I went, this was the album. What's your take?
Yeah. giving them more attention now. And yeah, it is really cool. Would we both agree that it's better than Bikini Kill?
Yes, much better. Yes.
I was too young at the time to. How big of a deal was it this punk band brought in this disco kind of like dance music and we kept the anger?
It's true.
Yeah.
You would thought she would only have changed the world kind of once, but then she did it again. Because there was nothing quite, I don't think there was anything quite like this. And when it came out in 99, I didn't realize it was that long ago, but that makes sense because that's when I was in Olympia.
We can move on to number 75, a band from an 80s band, Galaxy 500, with their album Today from 1988. So this is a band that had been on my sort of general to listen to list for like over 10 years. While preparing for this, I did finally get to listen to them, and I did end up really liking it. I'm really glad. Have you heard of Galaxy 500?
I sure have not. I've heard of Andre 3000. That's like, but
it's like slowcore, very pretty, but very building on itself. The singer went on to be the front for Luna, for that indie band.
That's what.
So yeah, I can play a song. Let's see.
Okay, can I read the little thing that goes with it?
Yeah, sure.
Lullabies for people who get way too much sleep anyway.
Let's see which one. So this is the song Tugboat. From the look on your face, if you heard this song, did you realize it?
It sounds a lot like another song, but it's not. It's a song I almost want to find that my kid found. That is a great song. But I don't know how to find it. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm glad I finally listened to it because slowcore is a genre that I've not, or a subgenre that I've not dug into all that much. I've heard this now. I've listened to Low. That's like I guess like the major slowcore band. Apparently
they were formed in Harvard.
Yeah, according to the blurb, they borrowed their first drum kit from dorm mate Conan O'Brien. Play some Lou Reed in his delivery. Yeah. And moving on to number 74, which is the compilation 50,000 Fall Fans Can't Be Wrong for the band The Fall. That was the compilation released in 2004, but it's mostly from the 80s and 90s. Is there anything you want to say about The Fall and about Marky Smith?
Where do I begin? This is a band that I know really well. I could talk about Marky Smith's childhood. I could tell you that he's the only consistent member, that there are more people in this band than the whole city of Manchester. And it's been around forever. So the different phases of The Fall are kind of identified by these women that he was involved with. Kay Carroll in the beginning, and then my favorite, Brick Smith, who is responsible, I think, for their best music. This album, to me, does not have my favorite songs on it. However, it's a great intro if you want to get into The Fall. You want to hear their...
there's so many songs on it. Because, it's 39 songs, 39 golden hits. Yeah, they're a band that's basically an album every 2 years. Yeah, 76 to like the 2010s. So this is a band that I'd known about, and it was so much music. It was kind of scary that there was there's just, where do I start? But
very daunting.
For anyone who's in the same position as me, this is a pretty good way to start.
It is.
It has. I don't think I loved every song in here. I don't know how you could love every 39 songs. Although I gotta admit, this is kind of embarrassing, but I was really tired while I was listening to some of it, so I kind of dozed off and woke up. I fell asleep somewhere around like the 23rd song and woke up around the 33rd song,
right?
Which is more on me for being tired. I don't think most people fall asleep at The Fall.
I don't know. It's very much about work. His whole persona is work, and it's that very gray, smoky British work ethic. He just explores these sort of mundane themes, but makes it weird. And I can see falling asleep. It's like falling asleep at work.
Yeah, very influential band. Because one of the first ways was because of they influenced bands that are also appear later on this list.
And
pretty high up too.
Monkeys, probably a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
Loungy thing.
Yeah, a little bit of in these the stories to it. Yeah. Well, I wasn't realizing there was gonna be a cover on here, which was pretty cool. They have a King's cover on this. Number 25. It's a cover of the King's song Victoria.
Oh.
In the later 60s.
Oh yeah.
The softer. The title is very funny because it's based off of a compilation, Elvis compilation, 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong. Yeah, so 50,000. Yeah, and then the album cover too is based off of that as well. It's pictures of, is that pictures of Marky Smith on it?
Yes, the only consistent member. Him
Yeah.
absolutely just wearing these very plain clothes, which also became influential to have these just sort of mundane middle class clothing, just a regular.
Mhm.
You see that some with like, I don't know, Echo and the Bunnymen, who's friends with them, and a lot of other bands. Stripped down. Another one.
Yeah, so I think we'll add a song or two to the playlist. All right, so number 73 on our list is the band Meat Puppets with their album Up on the Sun from 1985, released on SST Records. This is a band that I first heard about because Kurt Cobain covered them, and everyone covered them on MTV Unplugged. Is that the first time you heard this band, or had you heard about them previously?
Yes, I had heard about them as my high school boyfriend had their T-shirt. I've always liked everything I've heard by them, but of course, I haven't listened to them extensively, as you might guess.
Because I'd heard the songs that got big, Lake of Fire, which Nirvana covered, and then they had their song that became, I guess, their biggest hit, which is into the 90s. Listen to this on my long car drive. I liked it a lot. I was a little annoyed with like three songs having the same title. Okay, it is Backwater. That's the one I had heard
Right.
because that's by far their biggest song by streams. A very influential band on Cobain and developed over time throughout the 80s and then on the sound of the 90s. And they were way ahead of their time.
Yes, harbingers of grunge.
Yes, definitely. Oh yeah, so yeah, there's three songs called Hot Pink.
Right.
Yeah, kind of annoying. I mean, I think the third one's sort of like the album closer, kind of like long, a little noisy, tougher to listen to. So by length, it's not that long, but yeah, it's 17 songs long, but only 57 minutes.
And I think it's interesting they were indie rock in the 80s, like the, mid 80s, but they have really long hair, have this kind of metal look to them. And they're from Arizona, by the way.
Oh wow, I did not. This is one of the first ones to get a longer blurb.
Yeah.
Bummed bros let the sun shine in. The Kirkwoods followed the haunted country of Meat Puppets 2 with the sunny, oddly contented jams of this jangling paradise. They even whistled their way through the bucolic maiden's milk, musing on subjects like God, rivers, and swimming grounds, and even throwing in a goofy dick joke. This is freewheeling summer fun, tailor-made for beach parties and quarry pools.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so
Kirkwood is the last name. It's two brothers.
yeah.
Chris, and then they thought it'd be a good idea to name one of their sons Curtis Kirkwood.
I don't think it was a good idea. Number 72 is a band that has one of the extensive discography and deep lyrics, like literary lyric. Really impressive band.
Storytelling. Or they have an album called Tallahassee about.
They haven't.
There. I don't know if
they were formed in California.
Okay,
California.
That's true. But they spent time for some reason.
So yeah, we actually have not mentioned it. It's the Mountain Goats.
Oh right.
John Darnielle's long-running musical project started, in the 90s, recording in a boombox, developed and changed over time, and the full band, and had a lot of different albums that will focus on one topic or one series of topics. Some telling stories about characters, some of them who recur, and talk about faith and religion and drug addiction and hard living. Story he lived throughout the country, worked in a variety of jobs, and my cousin is a big fan. Yeah, the album actually is "We Shall Be Healed" 2004. I mean, there's a lot of different options. They have a lot of. I mean, I'm sure every Mountain Goats fan has a different favorite. dozen at this point. I mean, my introduction as far as listening to it was their album "Beat the Champ," which is about pro wrestling. Looking back on he's a fan in his youth. Something with his abusive, but with his stepfather. So there's stories about back in the territory days of real hatred for the bad guys, blood and turns. When a good guy turns bad, and back then they really hated the bad guys. Nowadays it's harder to make, if a character is interesting, there's still people who are going to be. Sometimes it's easier to be bad than it is to be good.
You mean in generally, or in?
Oh, I mean, sorry, like wrestling. Sorry,
okay.
Yeah, it's hard because it's easier to be entertaining and people like you if you're kind of a dick, but
that might be true across the board.
That might be true. Yeah, honestly, it's something I have to Yeah, I hope we get to talk about them, more again. I'm sure there's other lists. Yeah, like part of the blurb because it's another long blurb, but lyrics about drugs, jails, hospitals, and redemption, but not in that order. Yeah, it's
They're very true and real, and they're a great band.
yeah. There's a blog that I ended up finding about that annotates some of their lyrics, some of the stories.
Oh,
Um,
they're a band that makes you go, oh.
yeah, I mean, yeah. There was a podcast. I mean, it's not still ongoing, but it was. We only listen to the Mountain Goats. Yeah, it's a band that could be your life. Number 71 is the group Stereolab with a singles and compilation, Refried Ectoplasm from 1995. I get they have plenty of albums like Choice. I'm not entirely sure why they went with this compilation instead of any of their great albums. If you listen to Stereolab,
Yes, and I don't they're not distinct, like their discography is kind of jumbled in my mind, but I just love them. They are so consistent, I think,
yeah,
and I love them.
it is a very consistent band of a lot of high quality music.
Very high.
I mean, not many bands that become big here that have singing in French,
Right.
French and in English.
Can I ask you a question that's might be silly, but are they from Canada or France?
They're one of the main is British. The other is the female singer is from France.
Okay.
So they formed in London, but yeah, they are from Europe.
Yeah.
They have a knack for giving with album names that are very distinct, that are kind of they don't entirely make sense, but they are surrealistic. Like Mars Audiac Quintet, Emperor Tomato Ketchup, Transient Random Burst with Announcements, Margarine Eclipse. I mean, my favorite I think is Dots and Loops as far as it goes, because some of it's not in my native language. I might not understand what what it's saying, so it can kind of not run together. It sounds too negative, but it can be harder to pick out which one's which.
Because it's so enveloping. I hate to say, I too don't want to say it all runs together, but it kind of does. Like it's so consistent, and the palette is so consistent. And that's not a negative in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I know what
Our last album for this episode is from the band Mudhoney. Their release Super Fuzz Big Muff plus Early Signal. This was in 1990, but I believe the actual album is before then. Yeah, the album, it's their debut from 1988. It's one of the first grunge albums. I liked grunge, but I was more focused on Nirvana than anything else.
Me too. I don't like a lot of it. I mean, I like Alice in Chains and Nirvana, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I guess so. Are we going to insult Pearl Jam today, or are we going to? No, I actually do like some. I do like. I mean, they made some really good. They made some good songs. Actually, there's a remastered version of 10 that I liked way better than the original.
Yeah,
it sounds the instruments sound so much better than how it sounded back then.
I can't my Eddie Vedder impression,
Yeah, for a different a later series, a later list.
Can I be so real right now?
Yeah, sure.
I used to get Meat Puppets and Mudhoney like kind of confused in my mind. Is that fair? I don't know. I know really.
I mean, I don't think they
don't sound like, I don't know. They look like alike.
I mean, that's possible.
Not really. Kind of.
No. I'll read the blurb. A flannel blueprint for the Seattle sound. This singles compilation is named after a distortion pedal. And indeed, Mark Arm's sociopath screeds wouldn't carry as much menace if it weren't for the overdriven guitar. Rusty and scabrous and hellishly loud. Listen to just one song and you'll want a tetanus shot. Yeah, there's definitely some feralness to the... Which, I mean, it would have stood out compared to like the rock bands of the time. And the intensity is way different. Again, this was the same Draw Drive I listened to, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. Now I definitely put it up there as some of the best of grunge. That concludes the show. It's been fun, listening to and talking about some really cool music.
I know. I'm glad we got the fall in there.
And
something I know about finally. Right. Well,
yeah. Signing off until next time.
Yes.
You can reach us at Yearendlesspodcast at gmail.com. All music is courtesy of Shane Parrish. Until next time, for my co-host Courtney, I'm William. Signing off from the Tar Heel State.